Mental Breakdown Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mental Breakdown Podcast Season 2. Are we excited?
Yes, we are.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so obviously we're a different cast than we were last year, but we are still the Mental Breakdown Podcast. We're still a part of the UBC PSSA, the Political Science Student Association. And it's our second season of the podcast. The goal of our podcast, compared to our predecessors last year, is going to be the same, but we have a slightly different approach. So today, obviously, is our introductory episode. So we're just kind of be breaking ice. We're going to be getting to know each other, getting to know the hosts, and just kind of setting the foundation and the groundwork of what we want our podcast to be and what our goal of our podcast is heading forward. So maybe we can just get started right away with the roundtable introductions. I will start. My name is Sam. I'm a third-year political science student. It says here name, background, and personal facts. So obviously I'm South Korean. I'm born and raised here in Canada though. So
love it.
Shout out Langley, BC, because that's where I'm from. A personal fun fact is I bartend.
Oh, nice.
So
Very cool.
if y'all ever need some type of whip up some type of cocktails, I got you. But yeah, do you want to go next, Yubin?
Sure, I'll go next. My name is Yubin. I'm also third year, but I am actually a psychology major. I'm doing a minor in political science, and I'm also Korean and also born and raised in Canada.
Shout out the Koreans. Shout out the Kyopos, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah, shout out the Kyopos, bro.
A fun fact, I have a little golden hamster that has been alive forever.
Really?
He's really old, but he's still going.
How old is he?
He's like 2 years old. So
Is that old for him?
Old
yeah, like that.
yeah.
Hamsters they live like a year and a half to 2 years, maybe 3 if they're
wow.
really troopers. But he's
So your
he's
hamster's
still
a
going.
trooper.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
that's
runs
good.
every night. He eats everything. That's my fun fact.
Hi guys, my name is Aman. I am not Korean, I'm Indian. And I'm a fourth year poli-sci student. A little fun fact about me is that I make music.
Plug
it. Yeah,
Shout out Ace Armani, bro.
When I don't go by the name of Aman, I go by the name of Ace Armani. I make R&B music. If you see me on campus, say hi. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
that.
bro, you gotta plug it. But yeah, I think since today is kind of our introductory episode, we don't have a set topic. It's just kind of introducing our podcast. I think it's important on kind of discussing why we're studying political science.
Yeah.
Obviously, as the PSSA Mental Breakdown Podcast, a lot of our topics are going to be predicated around politics.
Right.
So it's important, why did you guys personally get into this field? Why did you guys personally come to see the PSSA and I want to be a part of this? Kind of what was your journey? Amin, do you want to start us off?
Sure, yeah. So I've started off with political science. I think I took a course in high school. It was a law course, and I think I just got into poli-sci thinking it would be similar to the law course. I was so wrong. But I think over time, it's just something I kind of picked up, especially because my parents and my family are very much in the news, as I think most of our parents are. So definitely having that influence, I think, at home with current events and whatnot. And obviously, even on social media, staying up to date with what's going on around the world.
Yeah.
And even around my own country, right? So
yeah.
I think with that, it
100%.
kind of definitely motivated me to, pursue political science, right? Learn more about the society we live in, why it kind of functions the way in which it does. And I think just eventually over time, my passion for it kind of grew as I, learned about more, for example, political theorists, right?
Yeah.
Political topics, politics in itself. So that's kind of how I got into studying political science. But what about you, Yubin?
I think for me, like I said, I'm actually a psych major, so since high school, I've always intended on studying psychology. But I think just because I knew nothing about politics or anything, especially Canadian politics, I had no idea what was going on, and I felt like maybe I should, have a bit more knowledge about the politics in Canada. So I decided in my second year, I think it was, to take Poli 101 just to get a sense
101.
of more general knowledge into Canadian politics.
Right.
And I just found it really interesting, and I thought it'd be cool if I could kind of learn more about other aspects of politics as well. I have a lot of friends in poli-sci that had a lot of courses that they recommended, so I kind of naturally got into the flow of studying poli-sci a bit more.
I think that's a lot of poli-sci students though.
Yeah.
like for me personally, like when I got into UBC and I was obviously in the Faculty of Arts, like one thing I vowed myself never to study was politics.
Yeah.
Just because in high school, like I think there's like a certain perception around politics and like studying it particularly, and I just didn't want to do that. It sounded too stressful.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
Yeah, but in my first year, I remember I took Poli 100, which is Introduction to Politics, as like an elective, just because I was like, oh, it fits into my schedule, might as well take it. And that ended up being my favorite class, particularly due to my TA, Katie Ann. If you're watching this, you probably aren't, but shout out you.
Shout out.
Yeah, like she was the first TA that actually gave me insights and gave me different perspectives where I was like, oh, like politics doesn't necessarily have to be this like extremely conflicting fireball nature topic, right? You can approach it with more nuance and you can approach it with more grace than you can.
Yeah.
And I think the way she broke down obviously it was an intro to politics class, so we weren't talking about extremely theoretical or extremely deep things, but I think the way she kind of broke down, like there are other ways that you can think about politics and digest it than obviously what's predicated to what's considered quote unquote normal. So yeah, but I'm really glad because obviously now I'm part of the PSSA. I got to meet you guys. Yeah. Now we're sitting here talking about politics. So like life is crazy. But
life is crazy.
Yeah. Moving on. I think it's good to talk about who we are. Obviously, we talked about who we are as co-producers, but now who we are as the Mental Breakdown Podcast. Right. Do you guys know why we're called the Mental Breakdown Podcast?
To be honest, I just know that's a continuation of last year's podcast.
Yeah. So we were in debates actually, a little behind the scenes of producing this, of whether we should think of our own name and kind of start from scratch, or obviously take what the previous co-producers did last year. And we decided to keep it because we really enjoyed the message and the double entendre of mental breakdown. Obviously, the mental breakdown aspect is we're going to be talking about things and breaking it down mentally on this podcast. Right. But we're also mentally breaking down as students. And I think every student watching, political science major or not, like can relate to that. And I think it's just, we like to bring that human student aspect of discourse. We're not experts by any means. Like, just because we're in our upper years and borderline graduated does not mean that we're any more educated or any more better, quote unquote, at talking or engaging in political discourse than anyone else. And I think this podcast is all about just encouraging that, right? Obviously, we're here to learn as much as people who are listening are here to learn. And I think this podcast allows us to have that, which I'm 100% really great. So just going on top of that, what can listeners expect, guys, from this podcast? What would they expect?
I can go first. Sure. I think the listeners can definitely get an insight into politics, into how we do politics, how we approach political science at UBC. In the sense that we, again, like, Sam mentioned, we're not experts, we're not professionals, right? We haven't even graduated yet, right? But we are students.
I mean, you are soon, but...
I am soon, yes, I am soon. But, like, we are students at the end of the day, right? We do have our own thoughts and opinions, as does everyone else. And I think because we kind of get that lived experience, being in poli-sci classes, being in like the major, even being in the club itself, right? The main political science club at UBC, I think we definitely do get a different perspective, a different lens into what poli-sci is like as compared, to students that are, in poli-sci but not in the club, or like, they're taking poli-sci as like an elective.
Yeah, we're kind of in like the thick of it.
Like we're in the thick of it.
We're surrounded by a lot more than I guess people that aren't necessarily in the major or not necessarily interested in politics. Like it's what we take daily. Obviously, we're majors, you're a minor, but obviously we're engaging in this type of talk a lot more than I guess other quote unquote students are taking. So.
Exactly, and I think just that alone kind of it gives students and it gives the viewers, including you guys, the like a different insight. A more in-depth insight, that you wouldn't normally expect to get from anyone else you talk to, just generally in the program, in the major, or even props. That's 100%. What I would say.
What about you, Evan?
I was thinking we were also like hoping to make poli-sci a lot more accessible and easy to understand for people that are a lot newer to it. I mean, like we were all in the same like boat before. Like I still consider myself like very new to the topic of political science, and I took this podcast as an opportunity to grow as like a student as well. So I think that listeners can expect to also like share that experience with us as 100%. We learn more about poli-sci as we do this podcast.
100%. So like almost leading by example, I guess. Like this conversation that we have and the conversations we'll have in the future, hopefully can inspire others to maybe engage in these talks. Even like obviously you're not going to sit down with your friends and just talk about politics. Maybe you will, but like I feel like that's really rare. But like if someone can take away from this, and it's like these conversations are meant to be had and they're okay to be had. You don't need to necessarily shy away from them. I think that's pretty big core foundational goal and pillar of what we want our podcast to be about. But just moving on to the next introductory question is, what is the motivation between the invention and continuation of the Mental Breakdown podcast? I don't want to speak for the co-host last year, but just speaking on our perspective, I think continuation, we kind of touched on it briefly, but I think podcasts, especially nowadays, are seen as like the a form of trendy media, like with Joe Rogan or whatever it may be. And we want to kind of dabble our toes in that. Like we want to be a part of that and really use this medium to engage with the broader student audience. Right. We understand that like our podcast isn't going to get millions of views. I mean, hopefully, if you guys are watching, make sure you never know. You never know. But our goal and mission for this podcast is not only to engage and partake in these conversations, but to encourage them, like you've been talked on. And I have this highlighted. So encourage thinking through thinking. Exactly. Encourage thinking through thinking. So hopefully by us thinking and then us learning from each other and from the topics that we talk about, people can get encouraged to think. 100%. And I think that's extremely, extremely important. Right. Yes. Amazing.
And I think just adding on to that, like going back to the topic of accessibility, like if you want to learn more about politics, but you're like not sure if you have the time or like a commitment to take a whole Poli course, like this could be a good kind of introduction into Poli sci and like a more like chill, like laid back way. So we're hoping that it like attracts a broader audience and just gets 100%. More people in general talking about politics.
100%. And then just touching base really quickly on topics. Our goal for these topics aren't necessarily, I know what I wouldn't want to watch as a listener is a lecture, right? Like our goal is not to lecture you or to kind of take one side and just teach you. Our goal is really to, for example, a podcast that we're thinking of doing is talking about like campus politics or the politics regarding about mental health. And so almost add our own opinions, obviously, and then build off each other and just have like a cohesive argument, or not argument, a cohesive conversation that people can draw insights from. And that's kind of like the goal of what we want to do with our podcast too. No, for sure. Awesome. So just almost to conclude this introductory episode, I thought this would be really fun if we talked about it, but there's red and green flags in relationships, and I would love to talk about political science, red and green flags with you guys as people that have been in the major for a couple years now, kind of been in this space. Red flags in this case are going to kind of be like red flags in relationships, like warning signs. What we see about political science is like, hopefully this can be altered or changed in the future. And then green flags are like things we see about political science in a positive light. Positives. The positives. So, Amin, if you want to start, that'd be fantastic.
I think in terms of green flags, I would say that there's so many different like views, I think, in politics and political science, of course. And I think those different views can really represent your beliefs. So, most of the time you're not left to believe that there's only like one single political ideology that you have to conform to, but rather that, you can be aware and like, I guess, relieved that there are so many different ideologies. And that's also a good thing in the sense that, that different ideologies are not necessarily supported, but it's a platform where those are welcomed in one sense, right? Even if you necessarily like, don't agree or disagree with them, at least you have the option to be able to kind of pick and choose almost. But then red flags, I think one of the things that I noticed the most is immediate opposition. So, even though, you have so many different political views, right, which is a good thing, right, that you have the freedom to have those different political views, I think sometimes people aren't really willing to, like, I guess, hear out the opposing political view, and they're very much, like, on your case about it, you know what I mean? As, you see in the news also, right, like, there's so many, like, politicians are always, like, at each other's necks, right? They don't like allow like the other person to like speak their case, and they don't give them that like, I think I almost respect, you can call it, to like, hear them out. So I think that's like one of the red flags that I would say. But what about you, Sam? What do you think are the green flags?
I think my green flag is very, very similar to yours. I would summarize it as just like open dialogue. I think we're very blessed to live in a country where free speech is something that is very accessible. I think unlike a lot of other places, there is no, like you were talking about, opposition. There is no opposition to political ideas. There's kind of a norm, and you're not allowed to stray away from that. And I think we're blessed enough to be able to engage in discussions where people have contrasting opinions. And then we kind of learn from each other. But yeah, just overall, like this, I think is the biggest green flag about politics. What we're doing right now, open discussions where different views are heard and different views are most importantly respected and more importantly, necessary. Right? These type of conversations are what builds society and what improves society, in my opinion. So engaging in these dialogues, whether it be like as students or as citizens or as humans in general, I think it promotes more of a cohesive and understanding society in general. Right. But red flag, this is pretty personal to me just because this is kind of what kind of took me away from politics in the beginning was disengagement to perception. Okay. I think the perception around politics, so whether that be the propaganda, the hate speech, the conflicts, it kind of leads people to become subconsciously disengaged and disillusioned to do anything related to politics. Right. Which is very understandable. Like, why would you voluntarily want to involve yourself in a place where it's just straight arguments and hate and conflict, right? It's almost... It's like, why would, right? It doesn't really make sense to do that. I think something that ties into that is like this trend of spreading half-truths. Right. Especially in our age of media. So we're thinking of like Jubilee 20v1s or TikTok or Instagram Reels or Twitter. It's so easy to hear something from a political spectrum maybe that you're not aligned with. And not really understand it for what it's trying to say or what they're trying to mean and just be like, I hate it.
You take it as surface value.
Exactly. You take it as surface value and your first immediate emotion, instead of thinking rationally, is to think with emotion. And this leads to this... almost hate for the other side instead of kind of being like, oh, I'm trying to seek where you're coming from. Maybe we can reach a common ground. Exactly. But yeah, I think any type of sharing information without this lens of nuance and this lens of grace is what leads to conflict. And I think that's the biggest red flag. Right. I think, it's difficult though. It is. Obviously, like you want your believing and your understanding of the world to be objective, and you kind of are scared to be, maybe there are different approaches or different ways of thinking of it. But I think it's a little scary, but hopefully hopefully we can take steps to fixing that. Of and course. Kind of but Yuben, what about you?
I'm gonna start with my red flag, and it was actually pretty similar to yours, Sam. Is so basically overall just like the easy spread of misinformation within politics, just like with the internet and like social media and everything, like there's just so much news that spreads so rapidly that can't be like properly backed up or is just like blatantly inaccurate, and it's just like so hard to tell these days like what is true and what isn't, and like stuff spreads like so quickly.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but like on that topic, like if you think about how our parents generations engage with politics. For us, like you open your phone, you search up anything, it's right there. It's right there. Yes, right. But then, so it's a blessing and a curse. But sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. But
and even if like you're not actively searching for like news, like it appears.
Yeah, you're getting exposed to it, whether you like it or not.
And I just feel like that just like it's a good thing in some ways where it's like a lot of people have access to information, but at the same time it makes it so much easier for misinformation to spread like everywhere. And I also feel like the culture of like just like judgment and within politics just like makes it kind of hard to like for people to like trust themselves. At least this is what I experienced personally. Like I feel like even if like I like think differently, like sometimes I'm like more inclined to like agree with what the greater population is saying just because I'm like scared of like getting like canceled or whatever, right? So I feel like it ends up like resulting in like people being a bit more hesitant to like do their own research 100%. Before just agreeing to things that they see online.
Trend of like bandwagoning, kind of jumping on and
so I think that's like one of the bigger red flags in politics. But a green flag I was thinking of on the other like side of things is that I think that poli-sci actually challenges us to challenge each other, which I think in turn can also be a positive thing, just because of like all the diversity and like all the different ideas and theories. Like there'll always be someone that disagrees with you, and if you look at that in one way, I feel like that can end up being like a really positive thing because it encourages us to be critical thinkers, it encourages 100%. Us to analyze, and it encourages us to question, which is like just really important in like bettering like our society. I just think it like creates a great setting where like everyone is able to learn from each other and results in like this like endless growth of knowledge.
100%. I mean, I think a lot of our own red and green flags touch on very similar topics.
Like at the end of the day, they all kind of...
They're very similar in our own ways, but I think that's great. Just to wrap up this segment and wrap up this episode as a whole, hopefully we're able to communicate you guys to the viewers about what we want to accomplish as a podcast. we want to aim big. Obviously, we want to make an impact not only within the PSSA and the political science major, but obviously maybe influence and impact and maybe change the way of thinking of just the UBC student body in general. I appreciate you guys. I think this was a really great introductory episode.
All right, well, that's it for the episode today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really hope you guys enjoyed what you saw, and if you did, please make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and definitely hit the subscribe button and the bell icon.
Wow, we're actually really YouTubers
Yeah.
now.
Definitely make sure to follow our UBC PSSA account on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere else you can find us. I think TikTok too, right? We're on TikTok. We're everywhere. You'll find us.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys definitely enjoyed what you saw today, make sure you guys show some love, share the episode. It was a little shorter today because it's an introductory episode, but it will be longer going forward. So you have
look
a lot more.
Look out in the future.
Exactly. You have a lot more to enjoy. Keep stay tuned. That's all I can say. Keep an eye out.
We also have stickers.
We do have stickers, yeah.
Sam has one on his laptop, so if you're interested.
Exactly. Just reach out to us on our Instagram and we can, get you set up.
The Mental Breakdown Podcast!